This is Catch a Break, the insider's guide to breaking into and navigating Hollywood, conceived by Catchlight Films. Whether you are looking to work in film or television or new media, it's all production and it's all entertainment. Maybe you are already in the business, but looking to make a change, shift your focus, explore a new area. This is for you too. In each episode, Catch a Break brings you a panel of top experts currently working in the business for conversations you won't hear anywhere else, and will provide you with bonus materials you can get your hands on and sink your teeth into. We'll give you samples of paperwork and forms you need to be familiar with, video tutorials, exclusive resources that will all help with your success. The presenting sponsor of this episode is the entertainment payroll company Extreme Reach. They have the most comprehensive suite of tools and services to support all areas of media and content creation, from tax incentive support to accounting software and payroll services. If you are producing content, call Extreme Reach. This episode is also sponsored by VetYourCrew.com, a global database of entertainment professionals geared toward collaboration and inclusion. Think of it as a global address book for crew, which also has an interactive calendar to show when you're available, and a robust search engine to help you find and hire exactly who you're looking for. Go to VetYourCrew.com to sign up. You can find us at catchabreakpodcast.com and all the podcast providers. I am your host, Julie Harris Walker. You may know me from the podcast The Other 50%, a herstory of Hollywood, or even the Kiss My Age show. But today, the focus is on you and how we can help you to catch a break. Welcome to Catch a Break. I am your host, Julie Harris Walker, and this episode is called Who Are All These People? And What is All This Paperwork? We're going to take a deep dive into who are all the people working on a set and what are they all doing. We're going to go through call sheets and tell you about each position and what they do. And we're going to back up a little bit and start at the very beginning and how do we even get to a call sheet. We will also introduce you to some of the other reports you will see on set. What are they and what do they mean for your workday? Now to help me do this, we have an amazing panel I want to introduce you to. Denise Anderson-Poor started out as a production assistant on some very impressive credits. Meet the Fockers, National Treasure, Cat in the Hat, just to name a couple. And then worked her way up to be an assistant director on things like Secrets and Lies, Married, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Legion, Dexter. Amazing credits. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I want to ask you a question.
Sure.
What was your very first job in the business and how did you get it?
My first official movie was actually pretty big. I lucked out. I got hired on this film called Life as a House with Kevin Kline and Hayden Christensen. And the reason I got hired onto that, I was doing little small films with friends from college, and one of those people doing it for free, by the way, just for fun. I never considered it a career. And I had like a really good job for a good company after I got out of college, still worked on films for fun. And then finally somebody said, hey, I know someone who wants to hire us to work on a film and actually wants to pay us.
What?
And I was like, what? And by that time I had worked every department, as you do, in film school and with friends. And I went and did this little short film. And the person that hired me, Ron Reshared, he was like, I think you should do all this AD stuff. And I had no idea what that was. And he was like, and I just went, sure. Then I had the crash course paperwork and running the actors and getting people to set. And then I was like, okay, that was fine. I handled it. I have the brain to do this kind of stuff. Which led me to go, he's like, I want you to go interview for this film. And it was Life as a House. And then boom, I was in. And it was kind of, I had a lucky career because I met ADs on that first film that took me on like 3 more films, which led me to meet some more ADs who took me on like 3 or 4 more films. So I don't actually feel like I know that many ADs, assistant directors, for those of you listening, because I worked with the same ones over and over for years until I got into the DGA.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thanks for joining us.
Sure.
All right, James Moran. James started his career in Orlando, Florida's film community. His first major job was as a set PA on the NBC show Sequest. After 2 seasons of that show and a few others, James did his first feature film, The Water Boy, as key set PA. After 6 years of working in Orlando, he finally made the move to Los Angeles and soon after joined the DGA as a second assistant director. As a second AD, James worked on such projects such as Punch Drunk Love, Prison Break, The Stepfather, and Heroes. I don't see Gilmore Girls, which I would have had at the top of this resume.
Gilmore Girls is on there. I did Gilmore and that was a second and a first on Gilmore, actually.
All right. After climbing the ladder as a second, he then moved into the position of first AD with such films as Paranormal Activity 2 through 4, both of the movies in the Ouija franchise, and even ventured into comedy with Ken Marino's How to Be a Latin Lover. Currently, James is in prep for Blumhouse and Jeff Wadlow's reimagining of Fantasy Island, set for theaters in 2019.
I hope. I think that's when it's set for theaters. Yeah. So.
Does it get any better than that?
No, and if you see, there's a very good through line of Blumhouse in there. There's a lot of films under their banner.
I noticed a couple.
Yeah, they've been very good to me. Not because of the lady on my left or anything.
Oh,
yeah, no.
Jeanette may or may not be in the room.
Yes.
So, James, what was your very first job and how did you get it?
My very first job, my very first paid job was I worked on a commercial with Tim Allen. And it was when he was doing his show, Home Improvement, and I was brought in. They're like, "Hey, we're going to pay you. Come be a PA on this commercial." I'm like, "All right, cool." I show up. First thing they do is go, "Hey, we need you to run to the store, and we need you to buy underwear for Tim." So, sorry, Tim, if you hear this, but that was my first job. I had to go buy underwear for Tim Allen on a commercial, and I couldn't have been happier.
I'm curious as to why you needed to.
I don't know. Underwear. Maybe he flew in and forgot it. Maybe his luggage got lost. I don't know. That happens. That was my very first paid job. But in Orlando, I basically had, I got lucky. My buddy John got me onto a movie set while I was still in college. I went on that movie set. I met a bunch of people. I'm like, this looks like something I want to do. And when I told my mom, she's like, yeah, I know that. About time you figured that out. And so I kind of made friends within the Orlando film community, still have a lot of friends there. And they kind of shepherded me in and kind of brought me in. And then my very first big show was Sequest, which came in. And everyone was trying to get on it at the time, and I was lucky enough to get on it.
Fantastic. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, and then we also have two of our core members joining us today. Jeanette Volturno, who you've met before, is the head of production at Blumhouse Productions and founder of Catchlight Films. Welcome, Jeanette.
Thank you.
What was your second job, and how did you get it?
Oh, geez. I was 18 years old, and one of my friends had a project that was called Colorblind, which was a music video that was written and directed by teens and coached by professionals. And I was the shadow producer on it. So I produced it for the teens and had a music video producer that I reported to who taught me how to put it all together. It was a nonprofit project that we did in the inner city that was pretty amazing. Everything was produced by the kids. The music was produced by the kids. The music video was produced by the kids. It was great.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. Marcy Brown is also one of our core members. You may recall she's a film producer and partner in Catchlight Films, and having recently worked on Black Klansman and Get Out. Welcome, Marcy.
Hi, welcome. Oh, I mean, hi.
What was one of your early jobs and how did you get it?
One of my early jobs was a set PA where on a movie called Lock Up, where one of my main jobs was walkies. So I wrangled the walkies. I had my sign-out sheet. I went to all the departments in the morning and made sure everyone had hot batteries. I, at lunch, handed out hot batteries and recharged. At night, I made sure all the walkies were back in. And I never lost a walkie.
Whoa. Is that why you're
That's
so
impressive.
emphatic about walkies on sets now?
She's
And
all
people
about walkies.
I am.
Can you teach them how to do that now?
In fact, she did, and it's a video that you can find on our website in our bonus material. Nice. It's good. All right, so we're going to start at the very beginning. Let's say we're going to make a movie, and we have a script. Then what happens?
Well, you have a script and you need a schedule. So you hire a first AD who breaks down the script and gives you a one-line schedule. And that is all the scenes broken down into how many days they think it would take to make the show.
So to put that together, it breaks it down by how much of a page you think you could do in a certain amount of time, and then how many of those pages make a day, and then how many days make a... And we're going to put examples of all these things on the website so you can pull them down and look at them. In fact, why don't you go right now and pull them down and look at them while we're talking about it, because that'll make a lot more sense. Okay, so you take the script, you turn it into a schedule, and then what happens?
You hope it gets done. No. Like Marcy was saying, you take that script, you then, scene by scene, just diligently break it down. Okay, that becomes your main template. You then, like you said, take it, put it in. First question I ask is, what's the budget? That's going to dictate, how many days you're looking at. If it's a huge budget, you're like, okay, how's 80 days sound? 70 days, whatever. If it's a lower budget movie, you put it in less days, and you've got to know, okay, well, it may be a small page count, but there's a lot of action this day, so I'm going to keep this like this.
Okay, but you remember, back in the day, when I was taught how to do this, I had 20 different color markers.
Yeah, no, we don't have anymore.
Right. And this is how I like to teach people, because I do it in my head now. I don't have to do it with the physical markers anymore, and obviously
I still do.
You do it?
I still do it.
See? So you go through and you pick a color, you make a key, and you say every person is yellow, every location is green, whatever your thing is, and every prop is blue, and every car is pink, and every whatever, and you highlight the entire script with all of those things all the way through, right?
Scene by scene with a ruler, even. I do that.
So when I say breakdown, I mean every single new set has a scene number, and you take that scene number and you ingest it into a program. Most people standard program is Movie Magic, and each scene has a page, and on the page you can when we say breakdown, quote unquote, it's how many cast members are in the scene, are there animals, are there picture cars, is it day, is it night, is it exterior, is it interior, is there a specific prop that runs all the way through the movie, is there a specific costume? So that when we say breakdown, that's what the breakdown means.
Every single piece.
Every single piece is broken down. And then those pieces all come together, come in and equal the schedule.
But the best part is when they're really non-descriptive, and it's like a visual effects thing, and it says, and then something comes and lands and it blows up and the world is destroyed. And you're like, and how do you break that down? It's one line.
It's one line.
And it's one line, but that one line could take...
The famous example of that is Atlanta Burns.
Yes.
Oh my God. Or Romeo and Juliet, they fight.
Yeah, exactly. It's like when they keep it like that, you're like, that's going to take a day to shoot, or it's just, oh no, that shouldn't take that much longer. But then you do that without even talking to the director, too.
Right.
You get this script, they go, here, break this down, you go through, and you've got to use your knowledge and what you've done over the years and go, okay, well, I think this is going to be like this. Okay. If you know the director, you can go, well, he's probably going to shoot that practically, meaning we'll blow things up on set, or we'll shoot things on set, stuff like that, or visual effects, meaning they'll do it in after. They'll do it after in post. So that dictates what you're going to do too. But when you get those answers, it then finesses more. But that's just an initial blueprint. That's all it is.
So that's the one-line schedule, and even more detailed than that can be a shooting schedule. And in the shooting schedule, you can list things, if you happen to know them, how many background, or if there's minors working, there has to be a welfare worker. There's certain rules that apply for certain elements.
So that'll be one page is one scene.
Yes.
And then you have all the different pieces for that scene on that one page.
Correct. And all those pages make up a shooting schedule. So a shooting schedule, can be this 100-page or 60-page shooting schedule that you can print out, or you can just collapse it and just see the one-line schedule and have that as a guide.
So that helps you determine who's coming to set that day, what the designers are doing, what the props are doing, what actors are there, what people you need.
And the one-line schedule and the shooting schedule help all the departments across the board. It tells costumes. It gives all these departments props, costume, picture cars, grip and electric, camera, the elements that are going to be used in those scenes, and then they can go from there and figure out, okay, well, this says there's 3 minors in this scene, so maybe we'll need multiples, or there's stunts in here and we'll need multiple wardrobe. It's a guideline for everyone else in each of their departments to go the step further to tell production what they need.
Which on a low budget film, you don't want to rent something at the beginning and hold on to it for run of show. You want to maximize what you can with your budget. So you want to wait until a couple of days before you're actually supposed to use whatever it is that it is called for in the script to go and pick it up and rent it so that you can return it right afterwards and keep your budget as low as you can. That's the trick in low budget movie making.
Do you shoot scenes in the order in which they appear in the script?
Depends. It depends. Depends on the movie, depends on the script itself. If it's a single location, yeah, you can do that. If it's multiple locations with multiple actors, it's very hard to do unless everyone's on board, everyone's clear. It depends on the budget as well. Like Jeanette was saying, is you then have to carry all these things throughout the whole movie, which would make it hard on a lower budget, easier on a bigger budget. We try to do it on some films, where if it's in a single location, the paranormal movies we did, right? The first 3 sequels. Yeah.
We had issues with day-night.
Yeah. It's hard to go, okay, we're just going to shoot it in chronological order, because your daylight, you could be sitting around waiting for night, or you could be sitting around going, well, we just lost the day, so now we can't do that. So it's a little hard to do perfectly in order, but you can do close. Or if you're at one location, you try and shoot that location in story order.
There are
There's stuff like
particular actors and directors who insist on shooting certain things because of the emotional aspect of the scene or the way that they want to do it, and so that sometimes dictates a piece of the schedule of where they want to shoot it and how they want to shoot it, and then you have to Rubik's Cube everything else around it.
Rubik's Cube, that's a good phrase because it sounds like a huge puzzle.
It is.
Denise, I want to bring you in. Can you talk about what a day out of days schedule is?
Day out of days lists your characters in your film or TV show. It also has the calendar days on it as well. It's helpful for all departments so they can see what character's working on what day. It's helpful to the actors so they know what days they're working as of that schedule being printed out. And it's essential for the second AD who is making the call sheet. Keep track of who's working when, make sure everyone's aware. But I think, I don't know if I over-explained it, but it's kind of helpful in that way.
It's also like casting clamors at that. So that's the thing that they want the most, so they can close the deal with the day players and the weeklies that you want on the show. And that's the thing that you don't want to give up until the very last minute, because you know things are still going to change and you don't want to lock somebody into something if you know that it's not going to stay.
That's always the worst, is an actor gets a hold of that, or worse, the actor's agent. And then they said, well, on this schedule, it said my actor wasn't working Friday, and so I booked them to go to this award show. And you're like, yeah, but that was out 2 weeks ago. It has since changed. That actor is now working on Friday. So no, they cannot escape to this award show. They're going to be working with us on set. So that is why it's day out of days.
It's a big deal.
It's literally day by day sometimes.
Yes.
All right. So we've talked about the script, the schedule, the day out of days, the one-liner, the shooting schedule. Let's talk about call sheets and production reports.
Very important.
Let's start with the call sheet. What's that?
Well, I can let Denise talk to us about that, but I'll just say, coming from a production standpoint, it is the guide to what's happening each day, and people rely on it, and it's important information, and it's the
Bible.
There you go. I couldn't think of the word.
Coming
Yes.
from being ahead of production, it is something that you go back and refer to months later when you ever have a dispute on something, or if you have to check something. It becomes the historical start of the day, and then the production report becomes the historical ending of the day. So it's very important that you get them as accurate as possible.
Yeah, accuracy is key to both of those documents.
And people always say it is a legal document.
Yeah.
Because if there's a workers'
You
comp
can go
claim
back to
or
it, yeah.
something,
Yeah.
it's going to be your evidence.
Insurance.
Okay, do we want to talk about the front of the call sheet and everything that's on there?
Sure.
Denise, you want to go through what's on the top page?
Okay. All call sheets for film and television are pretty close to the same. At the very top, you list your producers, your director, your writers, your production office, what day you're on, 1 out of 37. Are you on day 12 of 37? The date. And then as you move past the titles, you get to your sets, your scene numbers, your locations, and then it also, your call time for the crew, general crew call.
The weather.
Oh yeah, the weather.
Sunrise, sunset.
And it's put in the order that you want to shoot that
Correct.
day, so everybody knows.
Exactly, which sometimes can switch on the
Can
day.
sometimes switch, absolutely.
Yeah.
So be on your toes. That's the lesson there. Be on your
Yes.
toes. Things will
Be
switch.
flexible.
Yeah.
And if it rains, everything changes.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes that will be referred to on the front of the call sheet as well as what we will go to in case of weather change. Let me think what else. Safety memos are listed on there. Any pertinent notes, crew parking.
What color schedule we're on?
Yes, exactly. And as you move down, it also lists cast, what time they're coming in, where they're reporting, which is usually to base camp. Base camp's usually listed on the front as well, which is where hair, makeup, and wardrobe are, and where we send the cast to get ready, and the background, and the stunt people.
Now, you just mentioned what color schedule we're on. What does that mean?
Everything when you start production, you start out in white. A white shooting script, a white schedule, everything is in white. And then if there's any script changes, then everything moves to a different color, and then it should match so that everyone's on the same page. If the next color after white is blue and after blue is pink, and it just shows there's a new draft, a new revision, and we like to note it on the front so that people are all up to speed on which script draft and which color of the schedule we're on.
Yeah,
a great
schedule
question.
changes as well.
Instead
My
of saying
favorite-
version 5, you go goldenrod.
Yes.
There
Right.
you go.
Is there a standard color order?
Yes.
Standardized, I think. Some of the studios will maybe not do cherry or something like
That's
that.
true.
It's literally because they don't want to buy that color paper.
It's crazy
You
when
know.
you go into double pink. Well, then you've
Yeah.
gone around the circle and come back to it.
We can make a list, or we'll make a list and give it to you that you can see
Yep.
the standardized version.
And some people get very nuts about you have to follow it. And some people are a
Wow.
little more flexible.
Good to know.
Yeah.
But
We're
my
learning a
favorite
lot.
thing that happens on the front of a call sheet are the little memos that come from production. And in this day and age, a lot of them are no photos on set, no having people on set. There'll be specific banners that are up front that are highlighted that are really important, like no taking, no posting on things, or if there's nudity that's happening that day, like no one is allowed on set when
Closed
it
set,
becomes
yeah.
a closed set at a particular point after everything has been set. So there's some very important highlighted things that happen at the top of the call sheet that people should pay attention to.
Yeah, this one I'm looking at says no crew or cast parking in the neighborhood, and the house is a permanent hot set, not a lounge.
That's my way of
Okay.
saying don't sit on the set. Yeah.
I like it.
You know.
We're not hanging out there. Did you want to add something?
I was
Marcy?
going to say, we also, Denise had mentioned this, you put safety bulletins on there, so you want people to know if there's stunts, if there's animals, if there are
Smoke.
minors,
If you're
smoke.
working around water,
Yep.
kind of thing.
And those
So
are
it's a
just the
good place to
initial,
look
yeah.
for notes for the day. Sorry, James.
Oh, that's okay. That's the safety bulletins are there as a step one of your safety process. Then prior to that, jump ahead a little bit, but then there's usually a safety meeting that goes along with the thing that's listed on the call sheet: stunt, effect, whatever you're doing. Insert car, which is a driving vehicle that you put a camera on to shoot another car.
So you really need to read this thing before
Yes.
you go to work that day.
Not a lot of people do, but you do, yeah.
We're going to turn the call sheet over, which lists every single position and what time they're asked to come in. I'm just going to start at the top and shout them out, and you guys tell me what these people do. Number 1, director/writer. I think we know what that is.
They direct the movie and they wrote the movie, yes.
All right, good job. Line producer/UPM, unit production manager.
I consider them the general on set.
general.
They're the person that is helping, or I've also referred to them as the mom and dad. They're the person that you go to talk about what you need and how to get things done, and they help bring the departments together and the vision for the director. Now, they're also the liaison to the studio. They're the liaison to the above the line for any of the producers, and the person that's there physically on set the entire time, helping manage all of that stuff.
The boss applesauce.
Yeah.
I like to call them the regional manager. 'Cause, they're the ones there taking care of that production.
The day-to-day.
Yeah, they do the day-to-day.
Okay, the next line on this call sheet I'm looking at says first assistant director, and the name is James Moran. So
Oh, that's mine. Look at that.
what do you do?
Yes. I'm so if they're the regional manager, then I'm the assistant to the regional manager. No, the assistant regional manager. So
Store manager?
Yeah, I'm the store manager. I'm the floor manager. There you go.
Right arm.
So yeah, we basically, make sure that whatever's been talked about by the UPM gets carried through, and they know, and there's no surprises. If there is a surprise, that's the first person we go to. We go, hey, you know what? I know we planned this, but this is what's going on. What do you think? Can we do it this way? Okay, cool.
Are you
And
running the set?
I'm the voice of the set, and kind of we're there to let everybody know what's going on, when it's going on, when we're moving on to a next scene. When this scene's done, we're moving on to this scene here. With my team of ADs, which we'll get into, we're there to basically give out all the information. It starts with the director siphons it through me. I then give it out to everybody in the crew through my team, and we make sure that things are ready. Things are where they need to be. People, places, things. Everyone needs to get the information, usually from us. And so if there's a question, we just say, come to us and ask us, and we'll try and fix it.
So if the line producer is running the business, you're running the factory.
Yeah, we're running the floor.
Okay, now let's talk about your department. There's a second assistant director, a second assistant director, additional second assistant directors. What are all those people doing?
You can get pretty far down the line with additional directors and stuff. But the second, I think, to me, is the hardest position on set, because they then are always a day ahead. They're always having to make sure that everything we talked about, when we get to Monday, they're already on Tuesday. So they got to have 2 days in their head. They're also the one that goes to each department that you're going to go through and say, okay, are you ready for tomorrow? This is what we're doing tomorrow. Or by the way, this changed. What do you want to do? So they're an extension of the UPM and the first AD, and they're the ones that are basically doing all the information gathering and processing and all that stuff, and they create that form.
They are prepping the next day
Yeah.
constantly.
The second AD.
Yes.
And they catch a lot of the rules. So they'll say, hey, first AD, just so you know, you have to let this kid go at this time if you want to bring them in tomorrow at this time, or this actor at this time, or this thing at this. They'll catch a lot of the rules because they're watching the time clocks on people.
All right, good. There's something here that says DGA trainee in the middle of the AD department. What's that?
Oh, we had one? What?
You had one.
Nice.
Once in a while, you get a DGA trainee that's assigned to you from the DGA. It happens in television more than film. But you ask for a trainee, they are paid person on set. They come, they help the ADs in any capacity. It could be on set, could be running base camp, which is getting the actors ready. It could be strictly working with the background, just signing them in, getting them ready, signing them out.
Is this them learning how to be an assistant
Yes.
director?
It's a training.
It's a training program.
Yep.
They
Apprenticeship.
apply for it. It's a very hard program to get
Yep.
into, and once they're in, it basically gives them a fast track to becoming a full-term AD.
Would you recommend it?
Yeah, actually,
Yes,
I would.
it's a good
Yeah,
program.
It is.
It's a good program, and it's the only tough thing I see about it is that you don't know the people you're being thrown in with, and sometimes you're only there for a short amount of time, so you may not learn everything you need to know. But my biggest thing with them is ask questions.
Yeah.
That's the only way you're going to learn.
Yeah.
Don't just sit back and watch.
Correct.
All right, what's a production assistant? We talk about that a lot.
They're your people on the set helping the AD department. They are part of the AD department, not yet in the Directors Guild, but that's basically where you run around and do everything and try to learn as much as you can.
See
And
a
you're-
need, fill a need.
Yes, you're doing lockups, which is, your AD says, well, make somebody stand over there, make sure no one comes through that door when we're rolling, make sure, you quiet down all the trucks when we're rolling. Could be anything. Could be cue that actor or help me get the background through at this certain point when we're rolling. It's everything, basically.
Whatever anyone asks you to do.
Yes.
In
Hey,
whatever department.
Go grab this department 2 more walkies. They need them right now. You run and grab. It's everything. You're
Go
the
get
eyes and
lunch.
ears. Yes.
Make sure you tell people where lunch is. Make sure they
Yeah.
know where, you're in a location. You want people to know where the exits are, where the bathrooms are. They are communicating, information filtering down through the crew.
They're the arms of the AD department.
Yes. I always call them walking, talking kiosks. That's how I always felt when I was PA. Was, if you give the answers and if you don't have the answers, you find out for them.
And you report back.
And we did a whole episode on how to behave when you have this position. So go listen to that episode if you want more information on that. Okay, what is a script supervisor?
This is the person that is in charge of the script, has broken down the script themselves, works very closely with the director and the editor, and is on set and can also assist the actors. If the actors, when the actors are in a scene and they can't remember a line, they can feed the actor a line, but they also keep everybody in line as far as if it's day or night. At the end of the day, they turn in a report and it says how many pages there were, how long it took, they time the script, so how long it took the scene to be shot. They have all kinds of information that feeds directly to the editor, which helps in post.
Well, sometimes they will help with things where you started a scene on one day and you don't pick it up for another week. And they'll go back and they'll look at their notes and they'll say, okay, the eye line was here. The camera angle was here. You got this much of the scene. You need to go back and get this piece of the scene in order to get the coverage, in order to make it cut. So they'll
The
follow
cigarette
along.
was how long?
Correct.
It's continuity.
How many times have we seen a good script supervisor save a director with not very much experience who kind of doesn't know what they're doing exactly? I've seen it a lot. A great script supervisor is key.
Yeah, and they're sitting right next to camera, aren't they?
Yeah,
Right next to the
director.
monitor, yeah.
director.
They're right next to the director.
And they can help with, they advise about crossing the line, and and I mean it's continuity, and every department, pretty much most of the departments depend on this position: costume, hair, makeup, wardrobe, the ADs,
The actors.
everyone depends. That's his key position.
If there's a clock in a scene, that's the person they go to. Wait, what time is it in the story? In our world here, what time
yeah.
is it? What's the date in the story right now? So that's
Good one.
they track that as well.
And in prep, they can time the script, which is very helpful.
Okay, now we're into the production office. We have an assistant production coordinator, production secretary, office assistant, production intern, all those people.
They're the support. They're the ones that are ordering or returning or making sure that they're ahead or cleaning up all of the things that are happening on the production side of things.
They're booking travel,
Yep.
Another extension of the
they're
UPM.
wrangling invoices.
The
Yeah.
coordinator and the APOC, the assistant production coordinator, are doing the paperwork that come in each day, which all needs to be logged for post and for accounting, and all those things need to be handled. And so they're the gatekeepers of the paperwork that comes in from the set.
And these are office jobs more than set jobs.
Yes.
Okay, camera. We have director of photography.
Also known as a cinematographer sometimes.
Or the DP.
Or just the DP. Yeah.
DOP if you're in Europe.
Oh yeah, the DOP, yeah.
So those are interchangeable, cinematographer and DP?
Yeah, one's just faster to say.
It's a lot easier. Yeah, DP's a lot easier. They set the look for the film with the director. They shoot the film in the way that the director wants to shoot it. Sometimes, very rare cases, the director is the DP, so they don't have to cipher through that. But a good DP director team is what makes a movie either work or not.
Is that person holding the camera or not holding the camera?
Sometimes.
Depends.
They have to get a waiver.
Most of the time,
It's union.
not.
Okay, because you have the next person here, which is a camera operator. That's the person operating the camera?
Yes.
That's it.
Do we need to say more about that?
There's usually two teams of camera people to make it easy. There's an A, a B sometimes, and you'll go down as you get more
Sometimes
teams.
a
You just
C.
add letters.
And then we have a first assistant camera and a second assistant camera. What is their job?
First pulls focus, makes it look clear, hopefully. The second does usually all the legwork, the slate, and all that fun stuff. They put the slate in there. They do all the moving around of the equipment, tracking the equipment, all that stuff.
Is there anybody loading film anymore?
Sometimes.
What?
Sometimes, yeah.
If they were loading film, that would be the person to do it?
Yes.
So right now, are they loading the discs or
The
dealing
chips,
with
the
that? Or
chips,
is there a
yeah.
whole
They
new-
they change the cards.
The cards.
Yes, they'll reload the film by changing the card, and then they hand it off to.
Back in the
Another
day,
guy.
on the front of the call sheet, they used to have the amount of footage that you'd shot, the amount of footage that you were still holding, and like the difference between all of that, because you need to know all of that information. These days, you don't have to.
Now it's how many cards, and
Yeah.
that's it.
So here's a
what,
newish
what resolution you're shooting in.
Yeah.
here's a newish position, DIT and digital utility.
Yep.
They're dealing with the
They're
discs
dealing
and
with
the
the
whatnot.
cards.
Okay.
They help the DP set the
Downloading.
look of the film, and then they make sure that the actual footage was caught on the film before we send it off, to the lab.
Okay, so people don't have to drive film to airports for dailies anymore. Are
Unless
they-
you're shooting overseas and you're sending the data back.
So you're not emailing?
Generally not, because the 4K resolution is so high, it's hard to upload in certain territories. It depends where you're at.
So you might ship back a disc.
Yes.
And then
A hard
everyone
drive.
just
And hard
has
drive.
a heart attack the whole time.
in different different boxes.
And you're holding,
You're not wiping stuff until you get the clearance from the lab.
And are you backing it up?
yes,
yeah.
that's what I was going to say.
Several
Several
backups.
backups.
I'm having a little anxiety just talking about
No,
it.
I know.
There's
believe me.
people with handcuffs on briefcases. It's very, very crazy. Yeah.
I mean, back in the day, like, you know, as a PA, you would be driving the film to a lab after working a long day, and you were paying the lowest paid person,
The longest hours.
who is working the longest hours, to take the most expensive commodity from the day to the lab. So this is a little safer
It's
because at least you got
crazy.
backups on it
Yeah.
now.
And you don't want to leave it in a cab. I would, all those
Or in the
stories are so
trunk of
crazy.
your car.
Yeah.
Or go, oops, it opened.
All right, moving on. Still photographer. They're taking pictures.
Usually for publicity in the studio.
Yes.
Video assist.
This is used for playback, so the director and the DP can see, did they capture what they wanted to capture? Is there something in the frame? Should they move over, left or right? Also, this is good if you have visual effects on the day. You can have somebody there who can go back and forth on the screen.
Toggle back and forth
Thank
to
you,
see if the
toggle.
shots line up. Yeah.
They'll do like on-set visual effect type, like temp things to show you, okay, that'll work. They lay one shot over another shot and go, yeah, that'll line up. It'll be fine.
Okay, so it's video monitors.
Yeah.
What we call video village.
It's also good for stunts. If you have a stunt sequence or a car sequence, you want to make sure you got it. You need to go again. Can you move on? Have we captured it? It's a good safety thing to have for certain types of shows.
And how high up do you need to be on this call sheet to get anywhere near video village?
And, either on the front of it, or in the top section that you read through usually.
Okay. So if you're a wardrobe PA, you are not going hanging out by the
They
monitor.
can look at the other one over by wardrobe, but sometimes, yeah. That just gets too crowded. You don't want any people standing over the director's shoulder. And sometimes we'll put a second one up for the producers. That way the director is focusing, doing what they're doing, the producers are looking what they're looking for, and if they have an issue, they'll come over. But that way it just minimizes the amount of people there.
Yeah, that's pretty standard now.
Yep. A second one.
Two villages.
Good. It takes two villages. Okay, electric and grip. I want to talk about those together because let's talk about what they do individually and how they work together and what is the difference.
Masters of light and masters of shadow.
Oh, look
Nice.
at you.
Done. Moving on. Look at that. Look that up.
But what does that mean?
They're ninjas, apparently.
They work very closely with the DP to set the look, and it's exactly what Jeanette said, shadow and light.
Okay, but explain
Electric.
that. So the electric is setting the lights.
They set the lights,
The grip
and then
sets the stand?
the grip set. They cut the light basically, and so the light goes up, and they'll make the light.
Pretty,
Usually,
or-
or they'll take it off of a wall, so they'll put up what's called a flag, which is the big black square thing or rectangle thing, whichever you see
So
where
they'll
it
hold the
stands.
reflector thing.
They'll hold that. They're like the do-all on set, pretty much. If you need a little platform, grips build it. If you got to cut a light, meaning take it off of one actor but keep it on another actor, grips will do that.
You need the actor to stand up, a couple inches higher. They run in an apple box. They're the handy.
They'll rig for safety as
They're
well.
the handymen.
Yep.
On the cars and those type of things.
They rig
they'll
stuff.
They'll rig on the, yeah.
If you want a haunted house in your yard for Halloween, you're calling your grip friends.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Let's just be real clear.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, sound. We have sound mixer, boom operator, sound utility.
Sound mixer sitting at his giant soundboard way away from the action.
Or her.
Recording everything. Or
Or
her.
her.
Yeah, it was general term. Boom operator obviously holds the boom mic above the actors.
Hopefully out of
trying not to get into frame. Sound utility runs around, make sure everything's okay, and including wiring actors, which is putting hidden mics on actors. So, and they're just all making sure we get good sound. And if they have a problem, that's usually run to the AD department, the PAs. We're hearing a truck outside. Somebody go stop that. Yeah.
If they have a problem, everyone has a problem.
Correct. They'll let you know too.
My favorite was when a plane's flying over and they look at you and they go, and they
Yes.
point up in the sky and they go, plane. You're like, yeah, I kind of heard that. Thanks, I got that one. So, but there's some things that
But they
their
hear it
mics can pick
louder.
up. Yeah, they hear it much
Yes,
louder because
they
the guy
hear.
points the boom at it.
And they, when you shoot inside interior, let's say you shoot inside of a house or a restaurant, they're quick to say, are we going to turn that refrigerator off?
Air conditioning.
Air conditioning, and then you go to the locations people, and then they have to deal with all the food that might not make it when you turn the refrigerator
But they
off.
also get the atmosphere, so they make everyone be quiet for a minute, 30
For
seconds.
room tone.
For room
30
tone, and capture that so that they can have the ability to give to the post-sound people some stuff to mix with.
It is all interconnected.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, special effects. We have a special effects coordinator, supervisor, foreman, tech. What are those people doing?
I always think they are the grown-up kids of the set because they get to, apply the smoke that we need or any sparks.
They're blowing stuff
They
up.
make things
blow
go
stuff
boom.
up.
Yeah.
It's fun.
The way that I look at special effects and visual effects is special effects is anything that happens practically. Visual effects are things that don't exist.
Correct.
So that's computer generated,
Correct.
fancy stuff, as opposed to flipping the car.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's what I was kind of talking about, practical versus visual on set versus in post. Those are your two guys.
And
But
safety
and
is our
those
first
guys,
concern.
yeah, those guys have to work pretty hard. They have to get permits. They have one of the hardest probably permission departments as far as that, because nowadays a lot of the guys have to go through safety training, but
Yes,
these
please.
guys are also involved of blowing things up. You have to have a certain permit to blow things up, to light things on fire, to do that. So you want somebody who's you're confident with, somebody who you're comfortable with, and makes everybody around you feel comfortable knowing it's
You
all
want
going
them
to go
highly
off.
qualified.
Yeah.
Okay, makeup and hair. I think we know what makeup
They do
and
that.
hair
They make them look
do.
good, and they keep making them look good.
All day long. And wardrobe.
They have very long, long hours.
Yep.
Yeah, they're in early, way before the crew usually.
So there's costume designer, is that person setting the look, and then key costumer is pulling the costumes together. Okay, art department, production designer versus art director versus set designer. What are those people doing?
Go, Jeanette.
Production designer is the person that's working closely with the DP and the director to create the look and the color of the film, the tone of the film, and their art director is the person that is helping create that vision and supporting in that vision the person who's decorating on the set. There's a person who buys, there's a person who decorates on the set, there's a person who moves things around.
There's a person who designs the sets.
People that build the sets. Oh, I'm going further down.
Well, now we're in
Yeah.
set
Sorry.
decoration.
The other thing is this day and age, I think the art department has one of the hardest jobs in terms of clearances because studios are very, very picky about anything that is in the shot that needs to have a release. If it was something that was bought at a store, it still needs to have a release from the person that actually created it. If it's any artwork that's on the wall, it needs to have a release. If it's from a prop or art warehouse, they usually have releases there, but not all of the time. So it's very important that they work extremely closely with production and the clearance people on the film. They can't
So every
just stick
vase,
something.
piece of
Yeah, you
art.
can't just stick something in a scene
Yeah.
at the last minute and go, that'll work. It's like, no, that actually has a big brand on the side of it. I don't know if that's going to work. In the third Paranormal, we wanted to put Whitney Houston up. And I was like, okay, well, you can, but you can't use anything for marketing. So you can put her poster up, but then that poster can't be in an ad. It can only be in the movie, not the ad. I remember having issues like that.
So a lot of our production designers will actually create art for the film and sign a waiver or release.
They'll make it look like something you know, but it's
Yes.
not.
Yeah. Gosh, that's fascinating. We could do that all day too.
Yeah.
All right,
Yep.
construction coordinator. What are they doing?
They're building the sets according to the plans from the production designer and set designer. And they can do everything from building a set to modifying a practical location to putting in ramps.
Whatever you need built that the grips haven't already built.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, property. We have prop master, assistant props.
Anything that's touched by an actor. That's kind of how that goes.
It's a good
They handle
definition
that.
of prop.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of the hardest, most specific jobs that we need more prop masters. If you're out there, we need more prop
Yes,
masters.
come talk to us, please.
Absolutely.
Is there a shortage?
Yes.
Of really great people that are on it, that have the patience and the tolerance and the experience to handle all of the personalities on set, and also the armorers to be able to handle the weaponry.
And funny story, once had a prop master on a production who accidentally handed the actor real drugs, not prop drugs.
What?
It didn't end well.
I would think not.
That's
Yeah.
a story for another time. Okay, visual effects. We talked about that a little bit. Visual effects is what happens later.
After the fact, and they put the dinosaur in that wasn't there on the day.
But they usually have a representative on set on those days where you're shooting the scenes that would include the dinosaur, because you usually have a question DP does, director does.
Make sure they're setting up the shot right.
Correct.
Can affect the lighting.
Sometimes we don't listen to them, and then they get mad, which is.
Or sometimes we say, oh, they'll fix it in post, and we rely on them when they're not even
Which
there.
is a terrible
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
that's
don't do
never
that.
good. Yeah.
Very bad.
You want to become friends with your visual effects person, and they always get the last second thing, kind of like when sound goes, oh, I need wild track, and everyone's like, oh, sit still for 10 seconds. It's like, oh, you got to roll a plate, which means that gives them the information that's in the scene to put that element in. And everyone's like wanting to move on and keep going, but they need that. And if we don't give them that, they can't do their job.
And then it costs more later.
Yeah.
An ounce of prevention is a
So you gotta give them what they need for those 10 seconds, 15 seconds you're on set. Give them what they need so that they can do their job.
Their number has to be in your phone because there's
Oh, yeah.
a million questions during the day usually for that department.
Okay, good. Shout out to visual effects. Editorial. We have an editor. We have an assistant editor. I assume they're editing.
The assistant puts all the they itemize everything basically for the editor.
They take the inventory.
They log it.
Yeah, they log it all.
That's
There you go. That's the word. Thank you. They log all the footage from the day. That way, the editor can go in. Okay, we're cutting this scene today. Here's all the different takes and all different angles.
But generally, a creative producer, a director, a line producer, sometimes scripty, and the editor are all in either an email chain, and maybe the post supervisor, either in an email chain or on a phone call, or somehow in communication daily to make sure that they got everything that they needed and it cuts together well, so that if there's something that we needed to go back and get the close-up on the mug or whatever it is, that we can figure out how to slot that back in without having left that location.
Yep.
Which nowadays you can do. Editors are sometimes on sets nowadays. Before they'd be locked in a room with all the film and literally cutting the film together. Nowadays it's all done on a laptop. You could even do it
So
on.
they can be anywhere.
Yeah.
So no one is an island.
No.
Nope. We could throw them right on the island with us and make them have a good time, just like us.
Okay, accounting. Who wants to speak to that?
One of the most important positions, again, another one that we need a lot more people of.
There's a
And
desperate
There's a desperate
shortage.
shortage of
Really?
accountants.
Yep.
So if anyone listening to this wants to follow that, is a very solid career path.
Yep.
You know, it's just taking care of people, making sure that people and vendors get paid on time, and that you're tracking things to the incentives, because that is a very important thing, so that people can get their rebate back, and being on top of all of the paperwork. And these days things are starting to go digitally, so there's a lot more scanning and tracking of things in the computer, but making sure that you have all of those pieces so that everybody can get paid properly and on time and in compliance and tracked back, and so that you can keep up with your costs and be able to make those decisions very quickly if you can afford an extra 2 hours of something or an extra half day of something or whatever it is. If you're on top of all of that paperwork, then it makes the answer a lot clearer and easier to be made by the line producer and the producers.
Yes. So I'm going to add to that. The key accountant is the person doing the estimating. And then the other assistants are doing all the paperwork you're talking about and paying the bills. And then there's usually a payroll person there doing the actual payroll. And I'd also say this department is not one to scrimp on and save any money, because it will cost you more money at the end of the day. And if you're in business school and don't want to go be an auditor at a Big Five accounting firm, well,
You can just show up in jeans. That's it.
go to film. Okay.
Let your hair grow out, have a good time. It's fun.
That's right. Locations. There's location manager. What are they doing?
This is a person that is hired early on to scout. Sometimes they start on as a scout. They read the script. They have meetings with the director. If the production designer's on, then a production designer as well. But they're the first line of creative eye out there looking for what's in the script. So they read something, a house in the woods. So you really rely on them to have a certain eye to know the place where you're going to be shooting, and then offer options, and then be able to make deals with the location, whether it's a house or a business, or talk to the city about a street or a road. But they are helping the director and the DP and the production designer visually tell the story.
So is location scout and a location manager the same job, or are those two separate jobs?
Two separate jobs.
One is before and then one is during?
They both have to have the best disposition.
Yeah.
Like they're
Very
working
political.
with
The public.
yes, and some people are, very paranoid about you coming into their space, and they have to literally gingerly walk them through everything. I mean, the patience that a scout and a manager has to have in order to get a company the approval to film in a particular place and then follow up and make sure that those people are happy after you leave so that it doesn't ruin it for the rest of us that want to come and film there at some point is huge.
It's a delicate job.
Yes.
Okay, casting. Casting director, casting associate, casting assistant. Seems like the people that cast.
The movie.
Pretty much, yeah.
And that's usually before and outside of the film production? Are they? I'm surprised they're on the
They
credit.
should usually be done by the time you're shooting, but sometimes day player roles will pop up later in the schedule, and they won't have somebody until then.
On
So
television. Like they're
yeah,
not
television,
really
they're casting up to the last minute.
all the time.
Yes.
And it's really about chemistry and making sure that the characters work really well together and or look like a family or whatever it is that they're supposed to be. That it's a very delicate nuance of finding that balance.
And their research is just keeping a keeping a finger on the pulse of who's coming up through the business right now. Who's
Who's looking
breaking
for a
through.
particular type of role.
Who's under investigation? Who just has been
Yeah.
indicted?
Nope, they're off the list. Yeah, there is a wall that they have that they might put people up and go, it's not them. So move them over. So, but they're very, very early in the process as well.
Okay, set medic.
They're just if we get hurt, they come save us. That's the one person I never want to see work.
Right, so there's a set medic on every set.
Yes.
Is that the
Yeah.
person you go to if you fall down or get
There
injured?
should be.
or-
It's not mandated for.
No, it's not mandated.
But it should be for safety precautions.
Even if you get a paper cut, you get a Band-Aid from that person.
Yeah.
Aspirin.
sunscreen,
Yeah.
Stomachache.
dehydration.
They're
Now-
like the mom or dad of the set too. It's
Yeah.
Does that person have any kind of licensing? Like, what's their background usually?
they're usually either
they
some
a nurse?
some are nurses, some are they used to be nurses. They don't
EMTs.
want to do the thing anymore in a
EMTs,
hospital.
yeah.
Or EMTs, paramedics, all walks of life. Anyone in that field looks at it and they see somebody. Oh, that looks interesting. So they might leave being a fireman and an EMT and come into the business and do that.
Well, this show had a set medic, a mill medic, a rigging medic, and a construction medic.
Because that's where
true.
people get hurt.
Yeah.
At the
So
mills,
that's
the
4
mills and the
different
construction.
locations.
Yeah.
So
a
you
lot of
need
medics.
somebody.
A lot of people
for
with
each location.
saws and sharp objects.
Yeah, a lot of equipment.
Okay, the next thing we have here is teacher/welfare worker.
They make sure that we don't, keep a kid on set for 15 hours.
So if you're employing a child, you have to provide a teacher.
Yes.
But there's basically each state has its own child labor laws, and you have to adhere to those.
Also, another good area that we need more people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm getting the picture that you can have just about any occupation and find a place for it on a film set.
Yes.
As we're getting down here to drivers and catering. Okay, transportation. There's a transportation captain. What are they doing?
Usually have a coordinator who coordinates the movement of all the vehicles to help us get wherever we need to go each day.
So there's a long list of things here. There's picture cars, there's drivers, electric truck, grip truck, camera truck, prop truck, wardrobe truck, makeup and hair truck, special effects trailer, sound video trailer, room trailers, honey wagons. What's a honey wagon?
Honey Wagon is a long trailer with about 8 to 10 rooms, and those are for extras or day players, and they usually have bathrooms at the end, which are pretty vital for the crew.
Yes.
The smallest version of a dressing room.
Yes.
And, that's mobile.
So fuel truck. If you have enough vehicles, you have your own fuel truck.
Yep.
So we don't
Yep.
run out and,
We don't want to go to the gas
station.
station with every single vehicle.
You don't want your picture car to run out of gas in the middle of a shot.
This is a whole city. Okay, so if you're
It's a circus. We show up, we do our little entertainment, and then we leave. But
I
it's
call
a
them it's more like a MASH unit to me.
MASH unit.
Yeah.
Oh, hopefully no one's getting attacked, but sometimes that happens.
okay, craft service. What's that?
Those are the snacks on set.
And there's someone in charge of keeping the snacks going.
Yep. And clean up and I mean, everyone needs to do their part as far as, cleaning up around the set, but they generally help keep the set clean of food on the set. You don't want to have food or things
Drinks.
spilling on the set dressing. And
They basically take care of the crew by
Yep.
constantly supplying food and drink, Water.
They're either the most loved person on set or the most hated, depending on how their table is.
Well, there's
That's
also
now-
layout board tech here that I didn't
Yeah.
mention earlier. What is that?
When you don't want to ruin someone's hardwood floors in their house, you have to send the layout board person in to protect it.
Protective coating for the floors, hard,
Walls
thick cardboard that protects floors and walls, and
on practical locations.
Yeah, that's
they usually work close. They work with locations. They go in ahead before the crew even shows up. They prep it for the crew to show up. Then when we shoot, we take it out, put it back. But some places now mandate that you have to have that.
Okay, and then we're down to catering.
Yum.
Chefs, chef assistant.
They are part of the Teamsters in this part of the world in Los Angeles. Not in all parts of the world, but in this part of the world they are. And your crew run on their stomach. So you have to find someone who is very friendly and cooks delicious, nutritious meals. And in this day and age, they have to cook for all different types, especially in Los
different
Angeles.
diets.
Vegans.
Yes.
There's always a vegan chef
Yeah.
now. There's usually 2
So
chefs.
vegan, gluten-free.
Yep.
Are they also doing like keto and
Yes, they're doing everything.
They
dirty.
and they get some, and again, just like other departments, everyone thinks, oh, they just cook and they serve it. No, because we'll tell them on the call sheet. You'll see next to it says ready to serve at this time. And usually, what happens is you have a call time. 6 hours after that call time is when you're supposed to break for lunch, so everyone can eat. Sometimes that doesn't happen, so you got to tell them. And a lot of people forget to, and then it makes them look bad. And yeah, they're like,
Right.
oh, well, why didn't you tell me? So they have to have a good disposition too, because you got to go, hey guys, look, we're gonna break a little later. Do what you can to keep it as
Don't
fresh
let
as
food
you
die.
can. Yeah, or hey, we need to break earlier. Can you work faster? And there's that too.
And the variety of different food, you don't want to serve chicken and fish every single day. So there is a little bit of a
it's an art.
Creativeness.
creativeness of just mixing it up a little throughout the week, throughout the weeks and the months.
All right, that is a lot of moving parts. And I think everyone's probably like into their 3rd hour of listening to this episode. So I think we should wrap it up. So, martini shot, which is our last shot of the day. What is everybody's final takeaway about call sheets? Marcy.
I would say, for me, the exciting thing which I like about all of this, the call sheet, is that everyone's threaded together by one thread. The director, the actors, the DP, the production designer, the costume designer, they all work together to create the look. Then the folks that work with them in each of their departments are also supporting them. And so it's one common thread that you need all of these people to work together to create the project. And I like that camaraderie of everyone working towards one moment or one look or one show or one film or one TV. I find that I love that everyone works together for one common good.
Oh, I have one thing I want to add about the call sheet.
Yes, please.
It is all the information you need for that day is on there for every department. And I usually once a day, I will hold up, somebody will ask me a question. Different department, doesn't matter what department. And I literally, you can't see me, but I pick up the call sheet and I will point to their answer and say, well, it says right here that we do that scene after lunch or whatever it is, or that actor's coming in at 10 or whatever it could be. So my advice is just read it thoroughly. Don't just look at what time you're supposed to be at work. Everything you need to know about the day is on your call sheet, front and back.
Beautiful.
It's the playbook is what it is. And,
Yes.
And just like, to use a sports analogy, you'll call an audible sometimes. And when you do, you got to make sure everybody knows. But the general information without it changing, go there first. If it changed, we'll tell you. But
Well, you guys are giving all the practical, yummy, visionary stuff on there. My favorite thing is when you get a kick-ass AD department who puts some smart aleck thing of the quote of the day or thought of the day or something on there that they're fantastic. Those are the best parts of the call sheets. Especially if you're reading them and paying attention.
Yeah.
That's
But-
when you know when someone's read it.
my second Mark will do that on purpose just to see if anybody
Yeah.
looks. He'll put little sarcastic notes in there, and most of the time, no one notices.
It's true.
It's unfortunate,
It's like the
but
green M&Ms in the contract.
Yeah.
yeah, there you go.
All right, thank you, everybody.
This has been Catch a Break, the insider's guide to breaking into and navigating Hollywood. I'm Julie Harris Walker. We want to thank our panelists, James Moran, Denise Poore, Jeanette Volturno, and Marcy Brown. And special thanks to our intern, Akiva Nemetsky, and our consultant, Lee Schneider of Red Cup Studios. Thanks also to Audio Department, who generously provided the recording equipment, and Jean Malanofi, who designed our logo. And a big thank you to Andrew Jocelyn, who created our theme song, Mantra for a Struggling Artist, and any additional music you hear throughout. Catch a Break is produced by Jeanette Volturno, Jessica Malanofi, Marcy Brown, Rick Osako, Shirley Davis, and me, Julie Harris Walker. Now you're going to want to check out our next episode, which is continuing this conversation. We're going to talk about what are all these forms and who are all these people, but for reality or unscripted television. You can find us at catchabreakpodcast.com, and that is also where you can go to download the bonus materials. Join our mailing list so you don't miss an episode or other programs, and we want to hear from you. So reach out through the website. Again, that's catchabreakpodcast.com, and also follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. Thanks for listening, and we hope this helps you to catch a break.